Welcome back, everybody. Jim Hunter joined by Roch Kubatko of MASNsports.com. And a lot of panic in Baltimore. Adam Jones is out of the lineup for a second straight game. How unusual is this? The last time Adam sat out back-to-back games, September 19th, 2011. That was a doubleheader, so he got him out of the way in one day.
Exactly.
What's the latest on Adam, and when might he be back in the lineup?
That's what we do in Baltimore. Crab cakes,
we panic.
Football, baseball, and we panic. That's what we do. And Adam, I mean, actually, to me, it's kind of good news because he had an MRI yesterday that confirmed, we're told, the X-ray, that he's got a mild sprain in the left ankle. There's no structural damage, and that's kind of was the concern. Because anytime you go, as you know, for an MRI, something else crops up than what you saw in the X-ray. In this case, I think it's all positive. They're being careful with him. Could he play tomorrow in Houston? We don't know. We won't know until he wakes up in the morning and sees how it is. Buck said the swelling has gone down. It's just not completely gone yet. Is he available today? Well, Buck won't say that either. And he said he doesn't want to give the opposing manager or opposing team a competitive edge by announcing anything, which tells me if you read between the lines, he'd rather not play him, but you'd like the other manager to think, hey, that bat's there in the late innings. And it could be. He could Kirk Gibson it, as Buck said yesterday. I don't know how many of our young viewers even know what that means. Ask your parents. But so he could come off the bench, but they'd rather really just rest him for another day and then see how he does on Monday. It was that really awkward, I guess we're calling it a slide, in the third inning of Game 2 of the doubleheader on Thursday where he rolled the ankle. Luckily, the spike didn't catch in the dirt. It could have been a lot worse. So I think it's just good news that the MRI didn't show any structural damage at this point.
Yeah, Buck was getting quite deep in his explanation. He said the trainers inform him that there are players who have good tissue and there are players who have bad tissue. Adam apparently has good tissue, and he's a fast healer. So hopefully he'll be back in the lineup very soon. Now, speaking of getting back to the team, Bud Norris is getting closer and closer. Now, with my math, 6 doesn't work into 5. So how does the rotation get adjusted? Because Buck Showalter's been pretty adamant about this. When Bud comes back, he's in the rotation.
Right. And he always says things could always change, but at this point, we would expect him to come back. All we know right now is Bud is pitching Tuesday in Norfolk. And interestingly, Matt Wieters, who was supposed to catch Monday in Frederick and Wednesday in Norfolk, will now catch Tuesday in Norfolk so he can catch Bud, which is actually good news with Matt, too. They don't feel like he needs 2 more starts in the minors. He'll catch Tuesday, then we assume catch Friday in Cleveland. But I guess Buck wants to pair the 2 of them up. So Bud makes that start, and as far as we know, he's back in the rotation. How do you make room? Obviously, Mike Wright would be the guy you would assume would have to move aside, and I know it's going to upset a lot of fans if that is the case, but this is the kind of depth you want. Not to try and put the positive spin here, but you want a guy who's pitched well enough that has earned a spot, and yet right now there may not be room, and he may have to go back down, keep pitching well, and get him up here. Same thing with a Kevin Gausman at some point. You're going to have to make room for these guys. That's a good problem to have. Now, the other alternative, if it is Mike Wright coming out of the rotation, of course, he could end up in the bullpen. And he has been viewed by plenty of people in the organization as a potential bullpen guy. An example, his last start, he was like 92, 93. They feel like if he's coming out of the pen, he could be back up to 97, 98, be very effective for an inning or 2. Maybe next season he takes over kind of the Tommy Hunter role if Hunter, who's a pending free agent, leaves the organization. So Wright may end up being more of a bullpen guy, or he could get sent back down. But either way, as far as we know right now, Bud Norris in the 9.88 ERA does come back into the rotation because, as Buck says, he was a 15-game winner last year. Buck's got a long memory. He hasn't forgotten about that.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Yesterday, Buck was asked if he was intrigued by what Mike Wright might bring to the bullpen with his repertoire, and he said, I'm not intrigued yet, but I might be, as he's always leaving out the possibility. Now, you brought up Kevin Gausman. He is slowly, by design, being brought back from the shoulder injury. What's next for Kevin, and where's he eventually going to end up once he's activated?
That wasn't Kevin's design, by the way, because he's chopping a bit. He wants to come back right now, but they are being careful with him. He threw in the bullpen today. Everything's going really well with his shoulder. He's got a 2-inning, 30-pitch simulated game Tuesday in Houston, which is really where you are simulating a start, where you warm up, you throw, I guess, 15 or so pitches, you sit down for a couple minutes, you get back up, you pitch again, simulating a game, hence the name a sim game. So that's what he's going to be doing. Then, apparently, he's going to pitch for Frederick on Saturday, but bad news, Keys fans, that's going to be in Wilmington, Delaware. And then on June 11th, he joins Bowie, and he pitches for them. And it's going to be 4 or 5 innings, 60, 65 pitches. And I believe this is all part still of his rehab assignment. It's not where he comes off the DL and gets optioned. After that, he could be activated and be sent down. I believe he'd report to Norfolk, be part of the rotation to continue stretching out, because you don't want him stretching out in the major league rotation. You got to make sure when he's ready here that he can go the distance if you need it. And then we'll have another problem if Kevin Gausman's pitching really well in a rotation in the minors of making room for him. More on that later. And again, they hope they have that problem with him.
All right, wait, I'm going to write that down. If you simulate a start, it's a sim game.
It's a sim game.
Okay. You learn that right here.
It's not just a catchy name.
Roch Kubatko, follow his coverage of the Orioles each and every day, several times a day at MASNsports.com.